Tax reform. Grover, good to have you here. I mean, this is obviously a very concerned Treasury Secretary. He himself is projecting some considerable uncertainty, I would think, into the markets by just raising the question. What is the reality?
Well, Secretary Geithner and President Obama have been running around for some time explaining that the sky would fall today. In point of fact, there are a number of things they can do to move debt from one account to another that moves everything until August, so 3 months away. The effort was to try and panic Republicans in the House and Senate who've said, let's cut spending if you want to increase the debt ceiling, into agreeing to a clean debt ceiling, giving the president everything he asked for. And Republicans are saying no. So now the threat that the world falls apart has been moved out 3 months. But even that's not accurate. The federal government owns a bunch of General Motors stock. Sell it. They are invested and have loans and own shares of some of the banks that they were involved in with TARP.
Right.
Pull in those loans. Sell
Which
that
are not
off.
necessarily attractive in the market even now.
Well, it's not very attractive to raise taxes to
well, no.
I'm not setting up
a countervailing possibility.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in and of itself, that the idea is that time will bring greater return to the government as investor.
Some of those investments are embarrassing. They're not investments. They were giveaways, and the sooner we know that, the better off we are. I'm not sure General Motors is ever paying back some of that money. Oh,
so surely not, because the government has given so much money, and we're told it's a clean slate.
Yes.
Oh no, this is
deeply
troubling.
Yes.
Well, you know, deeply troubling is the idea that this government, just talking with Senator Mike Lee, who wants to see a balanced budget amendment, as you know, as do a number of senators and congressmen now. In and of itself, that's great, but the idea that we have to have something like term limits or statutory, or in this case, constitutional amendment to drive a Congress or a Senate and a president to do the right thing. Tell me all hope is not lost here.
Well, I do think that because we have the First Amendment, we have freedom of the press. If we were only counting on Congress to behave, I think we would have gone off the rails a long time ago. So constitutional amendments to limit the state's power are a good idea. But you're quite right that trying to talk Congress into putting on a straitjacket itself is difficult, because the reason it doesn't want to wear the straitjacket is it doesn't want to be constrained. And we've seen, you know, dozens of years of unconstrained spending. So the conversation about by both parties. Oh, the 8 years of Bush overspending, just the fact that it got worse when the Democrats took over, does not excuse the 8 years of Bush overspending.
Yeah, and the path forward here, is it reasonable to expect that there will be something like a balanced budget amendment? I personally can't see it, Grover, but perhaps you can see far more clearly than I.
A balanced budget amendment obviously requires 2/3 of both houses. I think we'd be lucky to get a majority of both houses for spending restraint. It requires 3/4 of the legislatures. If 2/3 of Congress, House and Senate, and 3/4 of the legislature were sound enough to want to restrict the size and scope of the federal government, we would be living in a slightly different and much better country. So I think it's a great goal. I'm for it. But we're going to have to win this in the legislature.
All right. And certainly in the polls come November 2012. Thank you very much, Grover. Grover Norquist.